What makes the world go round safely? They're in planes, trains, automobiles, and even space shuttles.
Then we have services and solutions that have been embedded in the group for the past 100 years.
Big round of applause to Michelin 3-star restaurants.
What gets chefs and foodies fired up? The Little Red Book of Fine Dining.
We have developed a great capability of selecting what we think is the finest food across the world.
How does Michelin marry down-to-earth transport parts with lofty culinary ideals?
The last thing we want to hear is it's not possible. What we want is to make impossible possible.
Join our conversation with Florent Menegaux, Michelin CEO, and find out how Michelin drives changes in mobility and dining. Only on BizTalk, only on CGTN. Hello and welcome to this episode of BizTalk. I'm Clover in Beijing. What do fancy restaurants, fighting in Normandy and Formula One racing have in common? They're all related to one company, Michelin. With more than a century of history, how is it charting the future in mobility and gastronomy? Let's welcome our guest, Florent Menegaux, Michelin CEO from HQ in Clermont-Ferrand, France. The critical moment. And it all comes down to the tires. To most of us though, tires are black round things we hate trying to change on the highway. But it is what stands between your vehicle and the road. Tires keep you comfortable when it's bumpy. The grip makes sure you can brake safely in rain, snow, sand. And it must be robust enough to not puncture easily. Take 19% rubber, add 12% steel, 40% nylon, polyester, and 26% fillers, and you have a global market set to reach $374 billion by 2024. Michelin sales around $27 billion in 2019, up 9.6% year on year. So let's start by talking about tires, which I know is less interesting than gastronomy, but it is also extremely important. Where are we now in the tire market?
Tire market is going through a big crisis right now. And of course, it's due to the fact that more than half of the world has been locked down for many weeks and sometimes some months. And of course, mobility has been affected and therefore tire markets have been down. What we see now is a gradual recovery happening in every part of the world. And especially in China, now that the recovery is very strong, and hopefully Chinese people are confident in and they trust Michelin tires, and we have a very nice expansion in China right now.
Is there going to be more demand for tires since people would like to drive more, or less demand as people's movements are restricted?
Mobility will expand because it is absolutely necessary for humanity to make progress. Now, the form of mobility, the type of mobility may evolve. You may see more happening of autonomous cars in the future, even though I see the future being long for that. But I see also happening more electricity in cars and buses and trucks. I see electricity with hydrogen happening very fast.
What's Michelin's game plan? Is it about preserving the status quo, or maybe even investing boldly to take more market share?
We have a vision, what we call all sustainable, which is a balanced growth through people, through having an activity with less impact on the environment, and also with the capability to make profit. So the 3P, people, profit, planet, what we are all about and what makes us different is our ability to do these three together and to find the best balance for the future.
It was a stroke of marketing genius. Here in Clermont-Ferrand, where the Michelin brothers Edouard and André first made their tire inventions, they started publishing a Michelin guide in 1900 to encourage more road trips and sell more Michelin tires. It worked and then some. Michelin became one of the world's largest tyre makers, while the Michelin Guide has expanded beyond France. During the Second World War, it was even used to help plan D-Day, and now it symbolizes the world's best restaurants. For most restaurateurs and chefs, Michelin stars can make their businesses and careers. Today, it's debatable whether the Guide still helps Michelin sell tyres, but the brand definitely gets a lift of prestige, making it the world's most valuable tyre brand. It was such a clever marketing exercise, right? The Michelin brothers used the Guide to create demand for more tyres. What are you doing now to create and spur demand?
We are at the starting point of automotive industry. People didn't know how to travel, where to travel, and at that time the cars were not very reliable. So the first Red Guide had inside where you could repair, where you would find a mechanic, and as at that time the repairs could take a long time, you had also mentioned where you could eat and where you could sleep. And after over more than 100 years, and we use massively now the digital tool, and our selection is available online, and then you can make a selection, and you will see us developing further through digital.
And the other thing that people associate with Michelin is the Michelin Man. How is that used to promote brand awareness?
Yeah, you're right. Bibendum, the Michelin Man, is one of the most famous icons in the world. We were granted the Icon of the Millennium Award, I think it was 4 years ago. So Bibendum is well known everywhere. At the origin, he was a little bit naughty, and then he has matured a little bit more, and now he's more in charge of promoting a greener, more virtuous mobility, but also he's advising you and giving you tips to make your mobility safer, cleaner, more enjoyable.
It's surprising how many people I meet who don't know that the tyre maker and the food guide are the same company. Do you have that same issue?
You're right. We have the challenge that people have to connect the fact it's the same corporation that does the finest selection on food and as well as the finest tires in the world. So we do this both. This is part of Michelin's DNA. We promote mobility, and we know that mobility can bring you to new experiences. And therefore, we have developed for more than 100 years a great capability of selecting what we think is the finest food across the world.
The wheels of the automotive industry are spinning faster. Electric, self-driving, connected vehicles. What sort of tyres will we need for the future?
Just watching
Florent Menegaux, a Michelin veteran of some 20 years, hopes to steer the company into its digital future, diversifying to tyre services and also betting on the growth of emerging markets. China made 648 million tyres in 2018. It's a key supplier which supplies nearly 1/3 of global tyres. So you became CEO in 2019. What type of leadership are you bringing to Michelin?
I have grown for the past 25 years in Michelin, and the handover has been very smooth with Jean-Dominique Senard, and I've been working very closely with Jean-Dominique for the past 10 years, and I know every aspect of our business, and I've been across every country for Michelin. The real task we have now is really to have this all sustainable vision available everywhere in every process of our corporation. If I had one thing that I want to achieve is to make sure that all the collective intelligence that is available in Michelin can express itself.
You're actually in the middle of a digitalization reorganization. Please share with us some of the digital innovations that have come out of that.
We have defined what we call the vision tire, and it's connected, so it provides information about where to go and how to enjoy what you're doing. It tells you, the tires tells you how it feels, whether it's in good health or not in good health. So basically digital opens a really totally new world.
Wow. I know that a lot of cutting-edge automotive technology is actually tested in motorsports, and that's something that Michelin has a long involvement with. So what's come out of your involvement with motorsports, with racing?
Motorsport for us is, we call it the lab of the lab, which is the laboratory for us to experience in very tough and extreme circumstances our technology. So we only participate in race formulas where we can push to the edge our technologies. So we are looking for racing where we have a say in the regulations and where we can really promote new innovations, new type of technologies. That's why we participate to MotoGP, GT 500 in Japan, Formula E, World Rally Championship, and many type of form.
No other tyre maker or indeed industrial company has a branch as mysterious and arousing as much interest as the Paris-headquartered Michelin Culinary rating branch. Every year since 1900, mystery Michelin inspectors are sent out to taste and assess restaurants. Who they are, when they inspect, and what they do, we don't know. But we do know the rules they assess food by. The 5 criteria are quality of the ingredients, mastery of flavour and cooking techniques, the personality of the chef in the cuisine, value for money, and consistency between visits. How are the restaurants chosen for review actually selected? We
scroll every city where we want to go, or every country, and we have an investigation, a systematic investigation where we go to different places. So it can be the word of mouth, or it can be around the corner. People will go to a place and test. For example, in Tokyo, in a metro, we have selected a shop that provides really very nice food that you buy on the run.
And is it true that you judge what's on the plate and only what's on the plate? I mean, surely decor and service would matter.
We really look at what is in the plate. How the ingredients, quality of the ingredients, the way they have been assembled, and the taste and the emotion you can feel. We have added recently a new criteria, which is not part of the selection, but we make a specific selection on this. It's on sustainable materials, making sure that what is bought, the ingredients, the restaurant has a sustainable approach. We have made a separate selection for that. But apart from that, what we judge is the quality of the food.
Your inspectors will be very busy. Speaking of whom, there's so much mystery about who they are, how they're qualified, what exactly they do. As you as CEO, this must be one department that you don't really know about either, right?
The selection in Michelin is really set up as an independent corporation. Only Gwendal and some experts, Gwendal Poulenec, who is in charge of the Red Guide activities, is participating in this selection process. I am not involved, and none other senior executive in the group are involved. And I don't even know how many inspectors we have, because I just want to make sure that I keep really this activity standalone and doing the most honest selection can be.
So you don't think the way you make the selections will change in the future?
The human being's taste may evolve. We want to stay modern. Our selection will evolve according to what we think is happening in the taste evolution.
Coming up next, to leave our children a green planet, we change the way we cook and travel.
We don't want any used tire being landfilled by 2040 all around the world.
Away from Michelin star eateries is the dense jungle of rubber trees. In 2018, 91% of the world's natural rubber was produced in the Asia-Pacific. This milky sap is turned into rubber. 70% of the world's natural rubber is used in tyres. At the other end of the tyre life cycle, over 1 billion tyres are scrapped each year. Some are made into playgrounds or roads, half is burned, and the rest becomes landfill. Transport generates 23% of CO2 emissions. The industry needs tyres that help cars use less fuel and pollute less. How's the progress on getting more sustainable farming practices for rubber?
We have initiated a project and we have a joint venture with the main tire manufacturers now to make sure that within the next few years, 100% of the natural rubber we use is coming from what we call sustainable natural forest. So that is not employing children, that is done without deforestation, that is done in a correct manner. We are also investing in different technologies to be able to recycle. You will decompose the tires into basic components that can be new raw materials to build something else.
I've also heard about a lot of interesting innovations in materials such as using beets, oranges, in the making of tires. How far away are we from that sort of reality?
Today, in our tires, in most of our tires, especially the one that we promote in China, you have a lot of limonene. I know the word, and it's coming from oranges, lemons, and grapefruits. We use that already in our tires. Then we use a lot of also other type of really different type. I cannot give too many secrets of what we do, but we use many different type of materials that are very biosourced and very natural, and that are not competing with food.
And what about hydrogen-powered fuel cells?
Hydrogen is really the way to go. Now, batteries are using a lot of rare components, not hydrogen fuel cells. So Michelin has been investing in hydrogen fuel cells for the past 20 years. And we are now commercializing our fourth generation of fuel cell. And we think now is the right time to expand. China has made a commitment towards developing hydrogen infrastructure and developing hydrogen vehicles. We will be in China soon.
Fantastic. And that's going to be part of your stand at this year's Import Expo in Shanghai, right?
Exactly.
What else are you launching there?
We have many things to show. We have connected services. We have hydrogen fuel cells. We probably have 3D metallic printing as well that we are developing through another joint venture. So we have many technologies, and probably we also have new technologies in tire.
As tire production goes sustainable, so is the food industry. According to the UN, 30% of the food we produce is wasted, about 1.8 billion tons a year. Michelin has started Green Clover ratings, awarded to restaurants that are big on conserving resources and protecting biodiversity. A switch to renewable energy is also taken into account. Green Clover rating, just a gimmick, or do you think it will really drive changes towards sustainability in the food industry, which, as I know, there's a lot of waste?
We think this approach is absolutely essential. The human beings are developing all around the world, and the way we have been expanding is not sustainable anymore. So we have to change the way to make our human beings expansion more compatible with the natural resources available. And so therefore, this sustainability is to make sure that our children and the children of our children can have a future, a livable future.
While restaurant kitchens go towards renewable energy, so are cars. Electric vehicles are gaining traction around the world. EVs are heavier and have instant torque. Plus, there's range anxiety. So EV tyres need to support the extra weight, increase range, reduce noise, and cut resistance. All right, back to the nitty-gritty of tyre design. You were saying that, for electric vehicles, you probably have some different needs. Is it because they're heavier? Is it because they have that instant torque? How is it different, designing tyres for electric cars?
Electric cars are fun to drive, plus the fact that the batteries are weighing in the vehicle. The requirements are exactly the specs of a Michelin tire. low rolling resistance, meaning that you save autonomy, good endurance, good capability of handling all the torque, good handling capabilities for the vehicle, good comfort on noise, and especially in electric vehicles, because noise, now the engine is not making noise anymore, so therefore tires are the only
Noisy
parts
bit.
that makes a noise with the wind, etc. So all of that is very favorable for Michelin tires.
You work for Tesla, supplying their tires. Are they very exacting?
Yes, we are very happy with our relationship with Tesla, and we have a very strong share. If you look at Model 3, if you buy a Model 3 out of Tesla, you probably will get a Michelin tire.
Coming up next, Michelin's roadmap in China, research centres and factories, with more food guides to come?
We know that there are still a lot of expansion we can have in China to make our selection available for the great people of China.
The food-proud Chinese got their first mainland Michelin guide in 2016 for Shanghai and for Beijing 3 years later. Amid cheers and snubs, the Michelin-star restaurants enjoy the glow and must work hard to meet expectations. China's vibrant food scene has 7.1 million registered restaurants, from hole-in-the-wall grease spoons to starched linen fine dining. Other food guides claim to be more in touch with local tastes. How has the whole F&B market evolved as people travel more, as global cuisines are more accepted, and as new ingredients pop up?
The world is really globalizing much more, and we have very great chefs from China that are trained in France. We have French chefs that are going into China. And this is part of being a citizen of the world. So this is, of course, you'll see a much greater influences from various parts of the world that are getting and some kind of blending happening for the better. There are many things that are very nice in the Chinese food, and a lot of things that are very nice in the French food, but also in Italian food or Spanish food. And when they cross and when they cross-fertilize together, you can have something even better, a greater experience.
But don't you think Chinese food doesn't really get the credit that it deserves in the international food arena?
I think China is recognized as one. There are basically two main trend food culture basically around the world, and one of them is China. So I don't reckon the fact that Chinese food is not recognized enough.
And what about which Chinese cities you'll be expanding to next for the Michelin Guide?
That I cannot tell you right now. It's a discussion with our teams, and it's also a discussion we have with cities and local governments. We have people that are going into a city and trying to see whether you have enough potential to have a meaningful selection in a city. But as the food and the restaurant develop across China, and I'm sure we will see the Red Guide expansion around China.
Now,
but I cannot tell you to make details.
Way before the Michelin Guide came to China, Michelin Tires set up shop in the country in 1989. China sold 25.8 million cars, now serving the world's largest auto market. All the tire makers are here, upgrading, expanding, and the locals are revving up. Michelin's 3 Chinese factories have 6,800 employees, with a total investment of over $2 billion. How do you see the Chinese economic recovery?
China entered into the COVID-19 crisis much earlier than any other countries, and it emerged back from this much earlier than any other countries, and the economy is still expanding. When Michelin came into China 30 years ago, China was looking very different, and clearly you have not completed your journey into expanding, and you've taken out of poverty 750 million people in 30 years, which is really unprecedented around the world.
Is
We've never
Michelin
had
looking to
this.
invest more in this market, the world's biggest auto market?
Of course, we constantly expand in China, and we are very happy with the relationship we have with Chinese customers. Michelin brand is as well known in China than in France. And of course, we are always looking for more. We do it at a fast pace. Most of our staff in China is Chinese. Two of our most well-performing plants around the world are based in China. So we are very happy with our setup in China.
And what do you think of your Chinese tire-making competitors who are moving up the value chain and also globalizing?
China is a big market. The Chinese players and all the Chinese people that are involved in that industry making their best effort to capture all the technology available and to assemble it in a tire. The good thing is that at Michelin we stay ahead of the pack, but of course Chinese players will be emerging, and that's logical. It's a big economy, and Chinese people are as smart as any other people, and sometimes more efficient. So.
All right, on that note, we're going to wrap up the conversation. It's been delightful talking to you. Thank you so much for your generosity with your time. And that was Mr. Florent Menegaux, Michelin CEO, joining us from Michelin's HQ in Clermont-Ferrand in France. So what do you think? This is where we're going in terms of getting around and dining well. I hope you enjoyed our story on the Michelin Group. And with that, we're going to end this episode of BizTalk. I'm Chenle in Beijing. See you next week.